If you've ever toyed with the idea of snagging a Rolex, you've probably stumbled across the notorious waiting list at Rolex dealers. Essentially, this list is where hopefuls write down their names when the Rolex they want isn't on the shelves, which is pretty much the norm. But here's the thing, making it onto this list doesn't guarantee that you'll ever get to wrap that dream watch around your wrist. It's kind of like hoping to win the lottery. Exciting, but best not to count your chickens before they hatch. Just because you're on the list doesn't mean you're on deck. You might end up hanging in there for years without any real shot at snagging the model you're after. It's a bit like waiting for a forever delayed flight at the airport. So before you get caught up in the Rolex rush, it's wise to get the lowdown on how this whole waiting list thing actually pans out. Being listed isn't a binding promise, it's more like crossing your fingers. Who gets a Rolex depends on a bunch of factors which we'll unpack in a bit. But first, let's break down the usual wait times for some of the hottest Rolex models around. Oh, and don't forget to hit subscribe to Opulent Oasis for more exclusive tips and updates. Rolex Submariner. If you're on the hunt for a Submariner without a date display, you might find the seas a bit calmer. Typically, shoppers gravitate toward the version with a date, so retailers stock about 10 to 20 of the no-date models each year, depending on their size. Often you could be looking at a wait of up to 6 months, but if you're lucky, you might just stumble upon one ready to go home with you on the spot. Now, if you're eyeing the steel Submariner date, like the well-loved one 2661LN, remember they make more, but they also fly off shelves faster, kind of like the good snacks at a house party. So the wait time generally hovers around 3 to 6 months. For the trendier pieces like the Rolex Submariner Hulk, Starbucks, or bluesy in steel or mixed with yellow gold, brace yourself for a longer haul. You could be waiting anywhere from 6 months to a whopping 18 months, since stores only snag about 5 to 10 of these each year, and they're hot tickets. If your heart is set on one of the luxe versions in white or yellow gold, gear up for a marathon, because those beauties can take up to 3 years to find their way to your collection, thanks to their rarity and high demand. If you're not too picky about the specifics and just want a Rolex on your wrist ASAP, the 31mm Datejust might just be your ticket. It's primarily worn by women and isn't in high demand, so you can often pick one up without any wait at all, a real grab-and-go situation. Moving up a size, the 36mm Datejust is more popular, but thankfully, it's also stocked more generously. You can expect to get your hands on one in anywhere from a few weeks to 6 months, depending on the mix of materials and bezel style you choose. Now, if you're going for the big leagues, the 41mm Datejust is where it's at. Despite its popularity, retailers manage to keep the wait under 6 months because they get up to 60 of these bad boys a year. It's like they're baking cookies, and the 41mm is the batch everyone wants a piece of. And here's a bit of extra good news. You don't need to have a long-standing relationship with the retailer to snag a Datejust, so it's pretty much an open party. Just don't show up wearing a competitor's watch. Before we move on to our next watch reveal, why not kick back and join the Opulent Oasis community by subscribing? You'll gain access to a treasure trove of content that keeps you in the loop. So, let's dive back in. Rolex Daytona. Kicking things off with the Rolex Daytona, this piece lands somewhere between the second and third hardest to acquire. Take the yellow gold version with a green dial, also known as the John Mayer Daytona. For newcomers, it's pretty much a mythical creature. You might wait over 3 years, and that's if you're lucky. Now, if you've got your eyes on the steel Rolex Daytona Panda, particularly the one with the white dial and black totalizers, patience is key. You're looking at a wait of about 1.5 to 3 years, as dealers only see about 10 of these annually. Interestingly, that's the same wait time you'd face for the white gold 116509 or any of the Oysterflex models from this iconic line. If you're not set on a specific model and just want to dip your toes into the Daytona pool, the gold and steel versions could be your best bet. These guys come with a shorter waiting list. Think 6 months to a year and a half. It's almost like choosing the express lane, except it's way more stylish. Rolex GMT Master 2. It's hard to find a watch enthusiast who hasn't fantasized about adding a Rolex GMT Master 2 to their lineup. These beauties first hit the scene in 1954 and are now powered by the impressive caliber 3285 movement, coming in a variety of styles that vary widely in how many get made, how popular they are, and how long you'll be twiddling your thumbs waiting for one. Take the Rolex GMT Master 2 Pepsi, for example. This iconic steel watch with its eye-catching blue and red bezel gets shipped out to lucky buyers about 12 to 25 times a year, and you might even get your hands on one within 18 months, even if you're new to the game. The all-gold root beer version, with its suave brown and black bezel, sees fewer units, but isn't as fiercely chased, keeping wait times reasonable. If you're leaning towards something a bit more flashy, the bicolor root beer cuts your wait to just about a year. The Batman model, with its distinctive blue and black bezel, sticks to the same timeline. But if you're pining for the white gold Pepsi, brace yourself. With only 1 or 2 pieces reaching dealers annually, you're looking at over 3 years of waiting. And if you're dreaming of the ultra-rare Pepsi with a meteorite dial, well, that's like waiting for a comet to pass by. Some dealers only encounter it once in a blue moon. Opting for this model in exquisite white gold, you're in for a marathon wait of 5 years or more, so you might want to get comfortable and maybe make friends with your local dealer. Rolex Oyster Perpetual. If you're hunting for a Rolex that won't break the bank, the Rolex Oyster Perpetual often pops up as a smart pick. Depending on the size and specific design, these are some of the more wallet-friendly options in the Rolex family. For instance, the 36mm Oyster Perpetual doesn't flood the market. Retailers usually receive between 5 and 10 of them each year. It's less sought after than its bigger sibling, the 41mm version, so if you're eyeing the 36mm, you could potentially snag one in about 6 to 12 months. Just a heads up though, if you're after one with a Tiffany blue dial, you'll find it's like trying to get a ticket to a sold-out show. Switching gears to the Rolex Yacht Master, these watches almost make you feel like the waiting lists are on a holiday compared to the hustle for a Submariner, Datejust, or GMT Master. The 37mm versions, whether in steel, rose gold, or bicolor, are even more low-key. Retailers might have just 5 of each reference, but since they aren't exactly crowd favorites, you often won't wait more than 6 months. Sometimes, if the stars align, you could walk into a store and walk out with one immediately, especially as a new customer. Now, about those 40 series Yacht Masters, they're a bit more in demand compared to the 37mm, but still nowhere near the clamor for a Submariner. On average, expect to hang tight for about 6 to 12 months. And the good news, whether you're leaning towards steel or rose gold, retailers are usually pretty welcoming to newcomers without a lengthy purchase history. So there you have it, your insider's guide to navigating the Rolex waiting game. Which Rolex model caught your eye the most? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Opulent Oasis for more exclusive tips and updates, and check out our other watch videos for even more horological delights. Until next time, happy watch hunting.